Now, on that point, we don't have time for any more questions, but one thing that we didn't get to on the subject of education, and I'd just like to ask Peter to speak for a minute or two about your fellowship program, what it is, what you're trying to accomplish, and what your commentary about the state of education is.
Well, let me just make my commentary on the state of education. I think this is one of the last. We've had a whole series of bubbles in this country. They've been quite destructive. There was a tech bubble in the 90s, a housing finance bubble in the last decade. And we have something of a government bubble going on right now. It's the strangest of all because the government's so clearly dysfunctional. And yet we have this idea that it's going to fix things, that things affiliated with government will do things better. We have a bubble in education. If there's anything in our society that's a bubble, it is education. Costs have tripled since 1980, or quadrupled, 300% increase after inflation in 1980 for secondary education. For college education, it's not clear that the quality has gone up at all. And if you measure how many years it takes for people to recoup the debt that they take on in college, it's actually steadily increasing. Since 2000, it's actually been better to finish after high school than after college on a relative basis. So college was a good investment, was an increasingly good investment through 2000. Since 2000, it's been basically a roughly consistent gap between college and high school education. But because the debt has kept going up that people amass, it has actually become relatively, it's still better, but by a lesser degree since 2000. So we have an enormous amount of money that's being spent on education. And basically, I think the crazy cultural shift that's happening is that people who are in the younger generation, millennials, are getting completely screwed. They're basically being turned into something like indentured servants, where they have to pay off their college loans. Bush rewrote the bankruptcy laws in 2005 to make it impossible to get out of college debt, even if you go personally bankrupt. And so I think there is this very serious issue that education and the debts that are being imposed on people linked to education are turning an entire generation into something close to indentured servants. And that seems to me to be a very bad development. And because they're not getting paid enough. The education has been hyped beyond belief.
Eric, I feel a sense of fairness to give you the final word tonight.
Well, the problem I have with your argument, Peter, is it would appear that through that logic, fewer people would get educated. And the problem that I see going forward is the only way to maintain competitiveness is to have more education in the right ways around innovation, new companies, and so forth. I can tell you that the generation of people we've hired at Google, the young people, men and women, are fantastic.
Well, if we limit education to people who are getting engineering degrees, we can cut it back by about 90%.
And I think most people would argue that there's some role for liberal arts, however small. So
that sounds less than a 10-to-1 ratio.
So that was a joke. So
whenever people say they're joking, they never are.
No, actually, that's not true.
All right, very quickly,
in the life
please.
of Twitter, you actually have to label your jokes. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks a lot.
I'll just say thank you very much to Peter Thiel and Eric Schmidt. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.